Everybody, thank you so much for clicking on this video. The fact that you are willing to sacrifice a few minutes out of your day to consume my content really does mean the world to me. I've been reviewing every single episode of Doctor Who as it gets released. So if you'd like to join me on this journey, then please make sure to subscribe to this channel. I've been loving this season of Doctor Who, and this episode was a very unique one, taking place in Nigeria, following the Doctor in a barbershop, which is also a spaceship, focusing around storytelling. But I don't want to give away too much of the plot because there are quite a few twists and revelations that I really enjoyed going in with a completely blank experience as a viewer. So I'd recommend you do the same. I think the opening for this episode perfectly summarizes what's in store for the viewer. We have this beautiful monologue actually setting up the Doctor as this hero of hope. And I think that's been a really awesome theme throughout this season, is how the Doctor has been constantly depicted as a hero of hope. And I've been loving that. But also we get the beautiful visuals of the painting coming to life. And that's a great plot device as well. I really enjoyed that painting metaphor, as when stories are being told, we see them visually on the screen. I really enjoyed that. I liked that. I enjoyed the art style for the opening as well. But we'll talk about that later on. The art style is inconsistent with people's storytelling. Sometimes it just feels like laziness, but other times it really does look great, and I enjoyed that. But I just thought across the board, this was a very strong opening to this episode. The crux of this episode is storytelling, stories, how our stories impact people and how their stories impact us. And something that impacted me deeper than I thought it would was the Doctor's acknowledgement of his race in this episode. So obviously, you know, from William Hartnell till now, we've only ever had white Doctors. Obviously, we had the female Jodie Whittaker, but we've only ever had white Doctors. And obviously, the Doctor is very much aware that he is, black, but it's never truly properly addressed from his point of view. Obviously, there are moments like in Dot and Bubble where we see racism in the world and we see how it affects him, but this is the first time he truly acknowledges it and talks about how difficult it is to actually navigate going from a planet like Earth, which usually accepted him because of his skin color, to now experiencing the effects of racism. It portrays racism in a new way. Imagine never having experienced it before, then all of a sudden it's a part of your daily reality. I enjoyed that. That was a good way, a fresh way of tackling a theme that has pretty much been done to death in this day and age. But they approached it with a new perspective, and I loved that. It's great getting to see how different Doctors have to struggle with different things, and that's what makes him unique. We love Matt Smith for completely different reasons as to why we love a John Pertwee. They have different struggles, they have different drives in life, and I love that we got to explore that part of Ncuti Gatwa. So we have the Doctor walking into the barbershop, the door closing. The moment the door closes, the TARDIS freaks out, and this was just a masterclass of building suspense. We know the TARDIS is freaking out, that something isn't good, that the Doctor's in danger. But it's such a weird and unique and complex story that it's impossible to guess what's actually happening. And the way they build up the suspense is brilliant. I think the actor who plays the villain in this episode is fantastic. Firstly, love his just general appearance. He looks intimidating, but the voice and the way he commands the room, powerful. But then later on in the episode, and you'll know this if you've seen it, he becomes a lot more vulnerable, a lot more tender. He plays that line so well. He plays this storyteller of the gods versus a man who's just been hurt so well. And I love that, the way he's able to just tackle this character and bring this ferociousness to it, but then this vulnerability. The guy who played the villain in this episode was phenomenal. And then I don't think I've ever been so disappointed then, which is wild, because Doctor Who's a roller coaster. But in this episode, I really found myself going, really? Oh, okay, never mind, that proved me wrong. I'll take a slice of humble pie. There's a scene where the Doctor has to tell a story. And he kind of indicates beforehand, he's like, oh, do you want Daleks, do you want Cybermen? And obviously Ncuti Gatwa has never interacted with those villains before. So I'd love to see a story where he did. Or maybe even like a surprise animated throwback to some of the earlier Doctors. That would have been great. There's so many things you could have done with the Doctor telling a story. And then he decided to just go with a Belinda story. And that disappointed me as a fan. I was like, well, we could have this larger than life situation. I mean, hell, you know, why don't you show some of the animated scenes of like a Patrick Troughton episode? Like that would have been crazy. But then they decided to just go with the Belinda story, but it was so well done and emotional and dramatic. I was like, damn, good story, beautiful story. I will gladly admit that, you know, that was the right thing to do. And yes, this is very much an era of Doctor Who that wants to show that ordinary, everyday people can make a huge impact in the world. And I really enjoyed that theme. I don't always like the conclusion of the theme, such as, you know, the revelation of who Ruby Sunday's mom is. I don't necessarily always like why they do it, but the theme itself is a good theme, and I enjoy that they're carrying that through within Ncuti Gatwa's era. Ooh, and then there was a moment, which, depending on your opinion of the Timeless Child, you're going to have mixed emotions, because I think the Timeless Children was the dumbest thing Doctor Who has ever done. And Doctor Who has done some very stupid, dumb things. But I liked the appearance of the Fugitive Doctor. Oh, that's you know, the transition as the camera's busy doing the 360 around and it moves from Ncuti Gatwa's Doctor to the Fugitive Doctor. Ours. As someone who does not like the Timeless Children story arc, seeing that still made me go, ooh, as a fan, I love when Doctor Who can play around with time. I love it when it does that. And so that made me very excited. I'm excited to see what they do with that. Just, I hate the Timeless Children. I think it does such a disservice to the history of Doctor Who. It does such a disservice to all of the actors who have ever played the Doctor before. It kind of like just spits in the face of people who've been watching Doctor Who for 50 plus years, or those who have been watching every single episode from 1963 and followed from William Hartnell, Patrick Troughton, John Pertwee, Tom Baker, all the way through. So I hope this does a fun, clever thing about honoring the legacy of those Doctors. I hate the Timeless Children. I don't have the words to express to you my dislike of the Timeless Children story arc. This episode did a great job of building up the characters, developing the story for the first two acts. And then in between Act 2 and 3, there's just such a transition in regards to the pacing. I missed when Doctor Who had 13 episodes a season. I missed getting two-parters. This episode could have been a two-parter, maybe, but especially to just flesh out the development. Like, that was the part that I really felt was betrayed in this episode. It was beautifully set up, and then it just felt very, very, very rushed near the end. I want two-parters back to really just unpack these bigger, deeper, complex themes. So please, can we just have a longer runtime with Doctor Who again? Please, I'm begging you, and please can we return two-parters? This episode also really likes to tackle the theme of pain as a motivator and then forgiveness, which are themes I've been tackling within my own personal life for the last year and a half. Hurt people hurts people. 2 words making a sentence that everyone has probably heard before. It's true though. Hurt people, and are you going to be responsible for your emotional growth? Are you going to be responsible for your mental journey? Are you going to take ownership of the trauma that you might not be responsible for but has been thrust upon you? Are you going to then take ownership of that? Go, look, I am hurt and I'm going to heal from it and move forward. I like that they tackled this in this episode. There are so many people, and I know life is difficult. Trust me, I know life is difficult, and it hurts so much. But when we carry our trauma and use it as an excuse to lash out at people, all we're doing is being a hurt person that hurts people. And I love that this episode of Doctor Who is really going, look, you got to take this bag of pain off, and you've got to forgive. Forgiveness, and the episode doesn't actually pretty much just say this outright, but there is a heavy pursuit of forgiveness, especially in the 3rd act of this film. We see the villain of this episode, the pain of how he was treated is his motivator for everything, and it consumes him. And he ultimately turns his back on what he once was in the pursuit of his revenge. But then we see all of the characters who are swept up in his anger. They forgive him, and it's beautiful. The planet would be in a completely different place right now if people just exercised forgiveness. That is just the reality of the situation. Not enough people are forgiving. Not enough people are rising above the hurt and pain and willing to move on with their life. Because carrying that bag of trauma is sometimes easier than being more than the sum of your parts. Didn't mean to get that deep. It's just something that I've been thinking about for the last year and a half. So I mentioned earlier that this episode has a huge focus on storytelling. For the most part, though, I love the uniqueness of this episode, but it really was just a rehash of the Rings of Akhatash. I mean, you could take Matt Smith giving his beautiful speech about pain and loss. I've seen things you wouldn't believe. I know things you'll never understand. Beautiful speech. Beautiful. You could just swap Ncuti Gatwa's Doctor where he is now and Matt Smith's Doctor, put them in each other's stories. Okay, Matt Smith in the barbershop probably wouldn't do as well, but the themes are there. And I just thought it was very interesting, like the power of stories, the fact that there were gods involved with using stories to build themselves up, that they needed these stories to survive. Very interesting. And so yeah, there were a lot more themes and similarities being shared between these two episodes than I really thought they were going to be when I watched it, well, when I started watching it. All in all, was this the greatest episode of Doctor Who ever? Most definitely not. I think I'd put this right slap bang in the middle of, in regards to quality of episodes we've had so far. But I love the depth of the themes that were explored in this episode. Themes of racism, themes of forgiveness, themes of self-worth. There was so much good storytelling in this episode. I didn't necessarily always like the general wackiness of it all. This felt like one of the wackier episodes of Doctor Who. And the tone of the subject matter didn't necessarily match the craziness and spectacle of this spider robot. But that's also the beauty of Doctor Who, the uniqueness of the stories that you can tell. But guys, thank you so much for watching this episode. If you did enjoy it, please let me know. Give this video a like. In fact, if you didn't enjoy this review either, tell me why you didn't enjoy it. Comment everything down below. I really do appreciate it. You guys are the best. And I hope to see you in my review of the next episode of Doctor Who.